7 miraculous signs that your old self is dying. Divine transformation is about to manifest. In the heart of an ancient village, a once tormented mother named Sarah experienced something extraordinary. Each day, she awoke to find God's presence enveloping her like a warm embrace. The change was as if a sunbeam had burst through the clouds of a stormy sky, illuminating her dark past. The local parish stood a stone's throw away, its weathered walls bearing witness to countless prayers and miracles. It was within these hallowed halls that Sarah sought redemption. As rumors of her transformation spread, villagers whispered, "Have you seen the light in her eyes?" And indeed, it was a light they called miraculous. She no longer stumbled through life, burdened by addiction. No, she stood tall, her heart lightened by faith. The spiritual intensity churned in the air around her like electricity, palpable yet delicate, whispering secrets of divine intervention to those willing to listen. The first miraculous sign was her children's laughter. A music once dulled by her struggles now soared high like birds set free. It rang out from the backyard, where they played with unabashed joy. Sarah couldn't help but smile, a gentle warmth spreading through her, unfurling hope within her weary soul. Could love really mend the splintered remnants of their family? As time went on, Sarah engaged in family prayer gatherings, her voice weaving through the echoes of the church like a tender lullaby. She often invoked St. Jude, patron of lost causes, fervently asking for his intercession, especially on his feast days. It felt as though he listened, his presence drawing near, a comforting spirit guiding her on. She often felt a rush of heat surge through her fingers, a sparkle of something divine whispering, "You are not alone." But doubt lingered, casting shadows even in her brightest moments. Whispers wound through the cobbled streets. Can she be trusted? Seeding skepticism among some villagers who struggled to believe in her newfound light. Sarah felt the tension in the air like a tightrope beneath her feet, balancing between burgeoning faith and haunting uncertainty. Was she a beacon of hope, or merely naive in her desire for change? One fateful evening, while attending a local healing service, the flickering candlelight danced like fireflies, creating an ethereal atmosphere. The gathering was thick with anticipation, palpable faith lingering in every corner. A prophetic minister, eyes ablaze with divine wisdom, suddenly turned toward Sarah, locking onto her with an intensity that stirred her spirit. "Out of the shadows, you have come, and the light shall guide you," he proclaimed. Reverent gasps floated through the congregation. Heart racing, Sarah felt the weight of hidden pain lifting. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. It was a moment of profound spiritual impact. The electric current flooded through her veins, igniting empowerment within. Every fear, every whisper of doubt melted away. An inexplicable peace settled over her, affirming a truth she had long feared to embrace, that her past no longer defined her. Transformation was possible, yet the ripples of her metamorphosis begot contention. Questions hung thick in the air of the village. What does true faith entail? The absence of struggle? In this moment of clarity, the next chapter of Sarah's journey unfurled, one that would pose a question as profound as the first miracle. Could she withstand judgment while continuing to illuminate the path for others grappling with their shadows? The journey had just begun, and the finale remained unwritten, cocooned in promise and divine mystery. The nights that followed were steeped in prayer, and the dawn of each new day found Sarah seeking the face of God with renewed fervor. She would kneel by her bedside, a humble warrior armed with her faith, pouring out her heart like an offering. The familiarity of her scruffy carpet beneath her knees didn't matter anymore. She sensed the divine washing over her, renewing her spirit with every whispered prayer. But the shadows of doubt pressed in. On one such morning, while watching the sunlight filter through the trees, a heavy thought settled in her heart. More than just her past haunted her, it was what others thought of her. Can a mother really change? She wondered. Was she truly capable of leading her children, guiding them through the uncertainties of life without slipping back into the darkness that had once consumed her? In those moments, she felt St. Jude's warmth wrap around her like a comforting shawl, a gentle reminder that her path bore the marks of divine purpose. Yet, her resolve was tested further when a group of villagers came together, led by the skeptical Mrs. Whitaker, who questioned Sarah's transformation publicly. "She's playing a part, that one," Mrs. Whitaker declared one afternoon, her voice sharp like the chill in the air. "It's an illusion." The gossip fluttered like bats at dusk, surrounding Sarah wherever she went. It was as if chains clanged around her heart, trying to pull her back into the abyss. She could have turned away, hidden in the familiarity of her fears. Instead, she chose to face them with courage, believing in something higher than her fear. At the next healing service, anticipation spiked in the air like the first crack of thunder before a storm. As the minister spoke, Sarah felt something shift within her. During a moment of silence, she began to feel the light rising in her this time, not just for herself but for the entire congregation. She stood up, her heart pounding with an intensity that made her breath quicken. All eyes were on her. With a steadiness she did not know was within her, she said, "I am not perfect. I struggle daily. But God saw my brokenness, and He is still writing my story." A hush fell, echoing her words as they lingered in the air. Whispers faded into reverence, and for the first time, her vulnerability smoothed the jagged edges of doubts among the villagers. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, and oddly enough, it brought a profound sense of community and connection. She saw nods of understanding. They too had endured struggles that brought darkness into their lives. Sarah felt a flood of warmth as if the room itself had wrapped them all in a loving embrace. After the service, she was surprised to find Mrs. Whitaker standing at her side, her face softened by a renewed expression. "Perhaps we can learn together," the older woman whispered, her voice barely more than a breath. The unexpected alliance felt like a miracle in itself. But even as hope blossomed, Sarah understood the journey wouldn't be easy. Like flowers breaking through concrete, she would face storms before the blooms emerged. The smiles on her children's faces were a treasured reminder of God's promise, but doubts gnawed at her conscience. Would she stand steadfast through every storm that threatened to knock her down? Could she be the guiding light for others stumbling along their own paths in darkness? As these thoughts churned in her mind, she knew she needed more divine clarity. With her heart trembling yet full of resolve, she whispered yet another prayer, seeking guidance. Little did she know, an even deeper revelation awaited her at the dawn of a new day. What awaited Sarah in the unfolding chapters of her life? Was the miracle of transformation truly in her grasp, or merely a flicker of light in an expansive darkness? As dawn broke the following morning, the world outside Sarah's window shimmered with fresh promise. She rubbed sleep from her eyes, and as she rose, the warmth of the light felt unlike anything she'd ever experienced. The sun seemed to glow in a way that pierced through her doubts, reaching into the hidden corners of her heart. She allowed herself a moment to embrace that warmth, an invitation to step closer to the light and move away from the shadows. While preparing breakfast for her children, Sarah felt an immense stirring deep within her soul. This newfound intensity was more than just optimism, it felt like divine orchestration. Stirring the porridge, she began to hum a hymn, a simple tune at first, but soon it swelled into a melody that danced around her home like an unseen wind. It was music that awakened joy, a reminder of the hope she clung to. In the quiet hum of her children waking, she heard a soft knock at her door. With curiosity, she opened it to find little Samuel, the neighbor's boy, standing there, clutching a small bouquet of wildflowers. His beaming smile glowed with pure innocence. "These are for you, Miss Sarah. I picked them for you to make you happy." Her heart swelled. In that moment, she recognized that God might be planting seeds of joy right at her doorstep. "Thank you, Samuel," she knelt to his level and accepted the gift. "You have made my day brighter." The boy's laughter rang through the air, and as he ran back home, Sarah felt a tug at her spirit. Childlike faith had a way of igniting significance in the simplest moments. Throughout the day, memories of the past nibbled at her resolve, but they were becoming fewer and farther between. Each time a negative thought emerged, a whisper of grace enveloped her. Instead of falling into despair, she chose to remember God as promises, the way mercy covered her and love uplifted her. That evening, she gathered her children for a time of sharing. "Let us talk about our blessings today," she began, her voice steady and bright. As they shared small moments playing, sunshine, the flowers from Samuel, she felt herself gathering strength. A chorus of gratitude rose. It was as if the chains of shame that had bound her gradually shattered like glass. Suddenly, her eldest, Lily, spoke up. "Mama, I'm proud of you. You always look for a way to make things better." It was an unassuming statement, yet it struck a chord. The tiny voice bore the weight of loving acknowledgement that pivoted Sarah toward belief that her change was visible, tangible. That night, Sarah's prayer spilled forth freely, echoing from the depths of her heart. "Lord, mold me into the mother you want me to be. I am here, ready for the paths you've prepared. Help me live out this transformation for my children, for so many others." Each word rose like incense, and she felt a shift within her spirit, something new, something alive. But as sleep beckoned, a looming question whispered in the dark: what would it take for her to embrace the changes fully? Just when she thought clarity began to arrive, uncertainty knocked on her heart's door, reminding her that even in the light, shadows linger. At that very moment, a strange flicker of movement caught her eye just outside the window. She wasn't sure if it was merely the wind or something more, an indication that the season of transformation was not only beginning but was about to leap into action. What sign would God send her next? What awaited on the path ahead for Sarah, now that she had begun to step into the light? The dawn brought with it a different kind of stillness, one that wrapped Sarah in a cocoon of expectation. The night's flicker continued to dance in her memory, the thrill of something new, something inexplicable. She rose, her heart humming with unspoken possibilities, eager to witness what each moment might unveil. As she gathered her children for breakfast, she felt an invigorating pulse rush through her. The porridge bubbled on the stove, the aroma mingling with the cool morning air, and she filled their bowls with a sense of purpose. While the children excitedly chatted, Sarah listened intently, their laughter lighting up the kitchen with a warmth that mirrored the sun outside. These conversations now felt like threads weaving her family closer together, binding them in love and trust, overcoming the remnants of her past. "Mama," Lily exclaimed between bites, "will you teach us to sing that hymn you hummed yesterday?" The question hung in the air, shimmering like the dust particles illuminated by the sunlight. Sarah smiled brightly, her heart swelling with joy. "Of course, my love. It's a song of hope, of light." They all chimed in, their voices floating through the house like a joyous breeze. Their impromptu concert became a sacred moment, a celebration of unity that transformed her home into a sanctuary. Sarah felt an overwhelming peace, a reassurance that she was on the right path, close to embracing her true calling. Now, more than ever, she was committed to nurturing the faith within her children, planting seeds of hope and assurance deep into their hearts. After breakfast, she stepped outside, the world bathed in the golden light of the early morning. As she walked along the garden path, she couldn't help but notice the vibrant flowers nodding gently, as if acknowledging her presence. Each blossom was a reminder of the divine presence in her life, awakening a deep sense of gratitude. In that moment, she saw Samuel playing with his dog in his yard. He caught sight of her and waved enthusiastically. "Miss Sarah!" he shouted, rushing toward her with arms wide open. "Guess what? I found something amazing." Intrigued, Sarah crouched to his level as he revealed a small, delicate wooden cross he had painted himself. "It's for you, to remind you that God loves you." His eyes sparkled with sincerity, exuding a faith that humbled her. "Thank you, Samuel," she said, moved. "This is beautiful. You have such a kind heart." She gently placed her hand on his shoulder, and in that instant, a quiet realization washed over her. It wasn't just Samuel's act of kindness, it was God's gentle nudge, stirring her soul anew, urging her to recognize the blessings that surrounded her each day. Returning to her home, Sarah heard an inner voice whisper loudly, "Look closer, I'm here." With every child's laugh, every flower's bloom, she felt God's assurance strengthening her resolve. She could see the manifestation of transformation all around her, felt it stretching beyond her limits like wings waiting to unfurl, but just as thoughts of gratitude began to fill her heart, she felt a flutter of apprehension. Change could be daunting. What would life look like as she stepped into this newfound light? She hesitated for a fleeting moment, but the stirring within her pushed forward. Embracing the unknown, she sensed the Holy Spirit guiding her. "I must surrender," she whispered to herself, "to be the vessel He desires." Before she could ponder further, Lily burst into the room, clutching a tattered notebook. "Let us write down all the things we are thankful for." The innocent enthusiasm in her daughter's voice reignited Sarah's fervor. They gathered around the table, hearts aligned in grateful anticipation, ready to record the miracles that filled their lives. As they wrote, a shadow slipped briefly across the sun, momentarily dimming the light in the room. A fleeting thought crossed Sarah's mind: would her past once again seek to overshadow her? She dismissed it, surrendering again to the light even as uncertainty lingered. She finished the sentence, "I am thankful for new beginnings," but before she could write more, a sudden gust of wind swirled around them, sending papers fluttering into the air. What did this signify? Was it a sign of impending change stirring beyond their little home? What further steps lay ahead as they ventured deeper into the promise of transformation? The answers felt just out of reach, yet somehow closer than ever. Sarah's heart raced with a longing to find out. Lily squealed as the papers took flight, floating around them like dandelion seeds scattered by the wind. Sarah watched in awe as her children dashed to catch the fluttering notes. The chaos of the moment wrapped them in laughter, dissolving the tension that lingered in her heart. Each swirl and twist of the papers reminded her of the unpredictability of life, a dance of divine guidance stirring up the stillness. "Look, Mama. My gratitude list is flying away." Lily laughed, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Sarah chuckled, enjoying the innocence of her daughter's joy. In this lightness, she could feel God's touch, a nudge to let go and embrace what was before them. "Let it go. We'll write more," Sarah declared. She took a moment to breathe deeply, taking in the warmth of the sun and the laughter of her children. The wind swirled again, and she closed her eyes, allowing the sensation to wash over her. It was in that moment of surrender that a thought washed over her like a gentle wave. It wasn't merely the wind, it was a call, a reminder of His presence. She whispered a prayer, "Lord, guide my steps, I'm here, ready for your plan." As the kids gathered the scattered papers, Sarah stood in the doorway, a sense of anticipation filling the space around her. Suddenly, she recalled the last time she had felt this palpable sense of change, the day she decided to embark on this journey of faith. That decision had sparked a quiet revolution within her, one that had seemingly paved the path to this very moment. She turned to the garden, noticing the flowers swaying, almost beckoning her closer. "What do you want to show me?" she asked softly, half hoping for a response. One flower, a radiant sunflower, stood tall, its face turned toward the sun. It felt as if it symbolized her own journey, a transformation from the shadows of her past to the brightness of hope. Just then, her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. She picked it up to see a message from an old friend, inviting her to a community gathering at the church later that evening. It wasn't an ordinary invitation. This friend had always been a voice of encouragement, a reminder of the goodness of God. Sarah's heart quickened at the thought. Could this be part of the divine movement in her life? "Hey kids, how about we go to church tonight?" she called to them, her voice a mixture of excitement and curiosity. They paused in their joyful chaos, and their faces lit up in unison. "Can we sing again?" Lily asked, her eyes sparkling. "Of course. We'll bring our gratitude list too." Sarah felt a wave of determination wash over her. Suddenly the gathering felt significant, a chance to connect with others who shared her journey of faith, an opportunity to be enveloped in community, sprinkled with joy and love. As the afternoon meandered by, Sarah felt a sense of eagerness building within her. Each moment, each laugh, each embrace of her children amplified the hope in her heart. But even as she was swept up in the beauty of the day, a whisper of doubt loomed. What if the old shadows came creeping back? That thought pressed against her, a reminder of her past struggles. Would this gathering lead to old fears, buried memories, or something entirely new? She swallowed hard, drawing strength from the very spirit that had guided her so far. I trust you, Lord, she murmured. The sun began to dip low in the sky, casting long shadows that danced across the lawn, beckoning the family to pack up and prepare for their evening. As they piled into the car, Sarah glanced back at the house. It stood solemnly behind them, a vessel of comfort and growth, but she could feel the warmth of hope radiating ahead. Driving through town, she relished the changing scenery. The world seemed alive, pulsating with divine energy. What will happen tonight? What miracles await? She wondered, her heart thumping in unison with her prayers. As they approached the church, the lights shone bright like beacons of hope piercing through the night. Sarah breathed deeply, excitement bubbling up within her. This was a fresh chapter waiting to unfold. Here I am, Lord. I'm ready for the next step. But just as they opened the car doors, a flicker of unease passed through her. Was she truly prepared for the revelations of tonight? Or was there a deeper lesson waiting just beyond the entrance, one that might challenge everything she thought she knew? With a lingering question in her heart, Sarah took Lily's hand tightly, ready to step into the unknown. As they entered the church, a wave of familiar warmth enveloped Sarah, wrapping her in a comforting embrace. The soft sounds of voices mingled with the scent of incense and fresh flowers, lifting her spirit. The gathering was alive with laughter and conversation, glowing faces illuminated by the chandeliers above. Look, Mama. There's Ms. Jane. Lily tugged at her hand, pointing to an elderly woman whose smile radiated joy. Sarah felt a rush of gratitude for such connections, for the tapestry of community woven with shared faith. Ms. Jane moved toward them, arms open wide. Sarah. It warms my heart to see you here. Ms. Jane exclaimed, her voice a melody of kindness. The two engaged in warm conversation, each word fortifying the bonds of faith that had blossomed over the years. May I take Lily for a moment? Ms. Jane asked, her eyes twinkling with affection. Of course, Sarah replied, watching as they drifted into a circle of laughter with other children. As she stood there, surrounded by the pulsating energy of joyful chatter, Sarah felt the shadows of doubt creep away, as if banished by the collective light of shared love and faith. She wandered deeper into the sanctuary, observing the decorations. The banners, adorned with words of hope and love, seemed to echo her own heartbeat. Welcome everyone. The pastor's voice rang out, cutting through the gentle murmur. Sarah turned her gaze to the front as he stepped onto the stage, radiating peace and purpose. Tonight, we gather not just to sing but to experience the transformative power of faith. God is here, moving in our lives together. We will witness His wonders. Eager anticipation stirred within Sarah, a flutter in her heart, the kind that signals something remarkable is on the brink. She closed her eyes briefly, whispering a prayer that echoed upwards like an incense offering. Lord, let your will be done. Then, the music began, soft at first, flowing into rich harmonies that filled the air. Lily's joyful voice rang out among the others, singing words of praise that wrapped themselves around Sarah like a protective cocoon. In that moment, waves of love rolled through her, stirring something deep within, a recognition that this was no ordinary gathering. God was moving. She could feel it. As the worship unfolded, the lyrics danced through the crowd, resonating with experiences they all shared. The music swirled like unseen threads, intertwining hearts and souls in devotion. Some lifted their hands in surrender, others cried tears of release. Sarah found herself caught in a beautiful wave, unable to contain her own emotions. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. A hush fell. The pastor stepped forward again, his expression solemn yet hopeful. Tonight, we invite anyone who feels the need for prayer to come forward. There is no shame in seeking the hands of God for healing or guidance. A stirring of movement filled the room as numerous souls stepped forward, reflecting vulnerability and courage. Sarah's heart pounded. Surely, the echoes of her past lurked just beneath the surface, whispering fears. What if I am not worthy? The thought pierced her, but a gentle nudge deep within rekindled her strength. This is a moment for transformation, she reminded herself. It's all right to seek. It's all right to ask. Holding her breath, she took a step toward the front, uncertainty mingling with hope. Each step felt heavy yet freeing, as if shedding layers of doubt along the way. When she reached the altar, she found herself surrounded by those who had come forward with her, all of them seeking the same thing, divine interaction, a chance for renewal. The pastor prayed over them, asking for God's healing to wash over their lives. Sarah felt a warmth envelop her, like a gentle breeze embracing her soul. The fear melted away, replaced with an unexplainable peace and assurance that God was deeply aware of her journey. As the prayer concluded, the pastor turned to the gathering, eyeing each person with a knowing smile. Believe that something is changing. Embrace the signs of transformation in your life. The music swelled again, and Sarah stood there, renewed, wondering what awaited her now, but just as the light of dawn breaks through the night, an uncertain thought flickered in her mind. What if this was just the beginning? What is the deeper truth God wants me to discover? Little did she know, a revelation lay just ahead, waiting to illuminate the hidden corners of her heart. As the music swelled around her, Sarah felt the atmosphere thick with anticipation. It was as if the very air shimmered with possibility. Her heart pulsed in rhythm with the worshipful sounds, each note climbing toward something sacred. Was it madness to hope for a transformation so profound? Or was God beckoning her to unveil her true self? A gentle hand clasped her shoulder. Startled, Sarah turned to see Ms. Jane standing beside her once more, eyes radiant. You did well coming forward, dear. Remember, every step towards him creates a new path in your journey. Thank you, Sarah replied, the warmth of Ms. Jane's presence reaffirming her faith. Yet she felt an inexplicable stir beneath the surface, a mix of fear and excitement. Questions lurked like shadows. What does he want me to find? The gathering continued, and as testimony followed testimony, it became clearer that they were all woven together in a grand story, their struggles, their victories, all part of a divine tapestry. Each word echoed in Sarah's heart, urging her further. An older man, voice trembling with emotion, shared his story of healing. I walked into this church broken and lost, he said, his eyes glistening. But through prayer and community, God renewed my spirit, and I found the strength to stand again. Sarah felt tears at the corners of her eyes. The man's words resonated deeply, her reflection mirrored in his struggle. Could she really believe in that healing? In that divine touch that could mend the fractures within her? Lily, oblivious to the weight of her mother's thoughts, pulled at Ms. Jane's sleeve, her laughter a joyful commentary on life. In that blessed moment, Sarah couldn't help but smile, wrapping her thoughts around the essence of childhood faith, a trust unblemished, unwavering. She marveled at how her daughter radiated a simplicity that spoke volumes, an open heart ready to embrace the wonders of a loving Creator. As the evening prayer time unfolded, Sarah's spirit swelled with gratitude. Time seemed to stretch as she breathed in the rich aroma of hope, wonder, and forgiveness. With each breath, she released her apprehensions, whispering, Lord, help me become what you intended. Suddenly, a soft voice broke through her musings. Fear not, daughter. Sarah looked to find a woman she didn't recognize, standing with an air of serene authority. Your doubts do not define you. You are becoming, this is just the beginning. Was it prophetic? A mere coincidence? Regardless, those whispered words wrapped around her heart, igniting an inner fire. The woman smiled, her kindness enveloping Sarah like a warm blanket, leaving her contemplating the reality of change. As worship continued, Sarah closed her eyes again. She envisioned the burdens she had carried cloaked in darkness. But God's light shone brighter, illuminating each crevice of herself, slowly transforming despair into hope, confusion into clarity. And she understood transformation was not just attainable, it was already in motion. Emerging from the haze of worship, she opened her eyes and surveyed the crowd. There was something tangible in the air: exhilaration, acceptance, the unmistakable presence of God. Yet the question hung over her heart like mist rising with the sun: am I ready to bear witness to this change? To let go of who I was? Suddenly, she felt a pull, a direction leading her to the pastor. As she waded through the sea of rejoicing believers, her breath quickened. Was she ready to ask for a specific sign, a deeper answer to her longing heart? Would God reveal to her the truth of this new beginning? And as she reached the front, the congregation's voices merrily blending into a symphony of faith, a shiver of divine anticipation coiled around her spirit, igniting a question that would shape her path: Lord, what do you wish to do within me now? Before she could collect her thoughts, a hush fell again. It was time for another prayer, and the moment felt electric. Little did she know, this was but a doorway into the unexpected depths God was about to unveil. The silence wrapped around Sarah like a soft cloak, the world outside her spirit fading as the pastor stepped forward, a beacon of calm strength. She could feel the congregation's collective breath, anticipation mingling with reverence. It was a moment suspended in time, a portal between the present and the promise of renewal. Dear friends, the pastor began, voice steady and warm, tonight we gather not just to celebrate God's goodness, but to open ourselves fully to His transformative power. Each word flowed over Sarah, washing over her doubts, reaffirming her yearning. There was urgency in his tone, an invitation that tugged at her heart. That he continued, many of us come burdened by our past, holding tightly to pieces of ourselves Jesus wants to heal. But tonight is not about what we leave behind, it's about what is yet to come. And Sarah felt it, a tiny spark of hope igniting within her. Was God truly calling her to relinquish the chains of her old self? She pressed deeper into her newfound conviction, ready to embrace the unfolding. Let us pray for an authentic outpouring of the Spirit, the pastor encouraged. Let us invite clarity, renewal, and courage. He bowed his head, and so did the congregation. Every heart, every whispered prayer echoed around her, creating a tapestry of unified longing. With each syllable, Sarah's spirit soared higher, intertwining her desires with those spoken aloud. Wasn't this what she had wanted, to cast off her doubts and step fully into faith? As if aligned with her thoughts, the pastor's voice grew stronger, full of conviction. We declare tonight as a night of miracles, a turning point for souls hungering for His touch. Lily squeezed her hand and Sarah looked down to see her daughter's wide eyes sparkling with innocence and faith. "Mommy, it's like magic," she whispered, the naivety of childhood unfurling around them. Her trust in the unseen felt contagious, igniting a passion within Sarah, a passion she had thought dormant. Then, all at once, the pastor raised his hands, calling the faithful to come forward, to step into the freedom of surrender. If you feel the Spirit moving, if you seek transformation, we invite you to lay your burdens at the altar. Sarah's heartbeat quickened. Was this her moment? She felt a surge of bravery rise within her. All those doubts, the voices whispering suffocation around her, they meant nothing compared to the clarity illuminating her heart now. She knew she couldn't stay a spectator. She turned to Lily, whose innocence served as a gentle guide. Let us go, sweetheart. Let us embrace the change that awaits us. Hand in hand, they stepped forward, the crowd parting like the sea. Each step was a declaration, a firm choice to let go of what she had clung to so tightly. As they reached the altar, the atmosphere thickened with divine anticipation, each heartbeat resonating with promise. Sarah closed her eyes once more, praying earnestly. Lord, take these fragments of my past. Heal me, shape me, lead me. Reveal who you want me to be. As she opened her eyes again, she turned slightly and caught a glimpse of that radiant woman from earlier, now standing nearby, with a knowing smile that seemed to radiate pure love. You're on the path of miracles, she whispered, and Sarah felt an electric pulse of affirmation. In that sacred space, the weight of anxiety began to lift, replaced by an inexplicable peace. She could almost taste it, the sweetness of surrender, the freshness of a life unencumbered. With each passing moment, the energy within her increased, igniting her spirit, making her feel alive in ways she had yearned for but never dared to hope. Yet still, a lingering thought echoed within her, like a gentle breeze. What does this mean for the journey ahead? What will it cost me to truly embrace this change? And it left her standing there at the altar, heart racing with both trepidation and thrill, as the evening unfolded around her. What awaited her on this path of miraculous transformation? A heavy stillness enveloped the altar, the weight of faith pressing upon Sarah in a comforting embrace. She could feel the room pulsate with a divine energy, a living presence stirring hearts towards a collective awakening. Each breath she took felt like an offering, a release of her past fears. As she stood there, intertwined with the faith of those around her, Sarah sensed a gentle nudge from within, a whisper guiding her deeper into the promise of change. Lily, sensing her mother's inner tumult, squeezed her hand tighter. "Mommy, look," she exclaimed, pointing towards the altar where people stood with outstretched hands, their faces illuminated with smiles of joy and trust. It was as if a veil had been lifted, and the congregation could feel the weight of divine possibilities resting upon them. "It's beautiful," she breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. The pastor continued to pray, his voice weaving through the air, carrying the hopes of countless souls with it. "Father, pour out your Spirit upon us. Give us the courage to step into the newness you have prepared. Let every heart here experience your miraculous power." His fervent expression reflected a sincerity that drew everyone into a tighter circle of connection. As the pastor prayed, Sarah suddenly felt an overwhelming warmth coursing through her veins. It was both exhilarating and serene, an intoxicating assurance that she was indeed on the right path. What had felt like the end of her journey was merely the beginning. Could it be possible that God could transform her in an instant? Could her heart actually be renewed? Just then, a wave of emotion swept over the congregation, and before Sarah knew it, she was swept up in an embrace of open arms. The radiant woman who had spoken to her earlier stepped forward, pulling her into the warmth of community. "You are not alone," she declared, her voice rich with compassion. "We are all in this together. You're about to witness divine change, not just for yourself but for your family." Waves of reassurance broke over Sarah, melting the last remaining fragments of her hesitation. Here in this sacred space, she understood that the journey of transformation would not only impact her, but also her daughter. God was not just a distant promise, he was an intimate partner, eager and able to guide them through the wilderness of rediscovery and hope. As the pastor began to lead the congregation in singing and uplifting hymn, Sarah surrendered once more to what lay ahead. She closed her eyes and immersed herself in the sound of heartfelt worship. Every note vibrated with a longing that filled the air, awakening her deeper desires for faith, healing, and love. The music lent wings to her spirit, lifting her closer to heaven, but as she reveled in this overwhelming power, she felt a flicker of apprehension. Even amidst the miracle, the thought returned: what would it mean to live fully transformed? Changes could shake the foundations of her life. Would others understand? Would her relationships alter in ways she couldn't foresee? The singer's voice began to shift and resonate in a way that sparked a curiosity in her heart. When we dare to walk into the unknown, we find a Savior who has already gone before us. The words echoed like a prophetic promise. Sarah's heart swelled. The unknown wasn't a void, it was a canvas, a space filled with endless possibilities. She felt the tether to her old self unraveling, strand by strand. What would she learn? What deeper truths would unfold as she embraced this journey? With renewed courage, she opened her eyes, looking at the congregation around her. Each face was an illustration of love and acceptance. She turned to Lily, who beamed back at her with unwavering trust, a mirror of her own awakening. "Together, we're going to discover a new normal," Sarah whispered. The words hung in the air, vibrantly alive with potential. The journey was just beginning, and she could sense God at work, weaving her life into something extraordinary, but as the song reached its crescendo, a new question stirred within her, persistent and profound: what divine surprises await us in this uncharted territory? Unbeknownst to Sarah, the answer was closer than she thought. As the evening deepened, the sanctuary glowed with a warmth that felt heavenly. Every face around Sarah radiated light. She could see the reflections of joy, healing, and faith stirring within each soul. Sarah's heart pounded, fueled by a newfound clarity. With every note of the hymn, she surrendered more of her fears to God, her spirit lifting as if buoyed by angels. "Together, we're going to discover a new normal," she whispered once more to Lily, who nodded, her cherubic face alight with trust. The little girl's innocence wrapped entirely around Sarah's heart, bringing a comfort that enveloped her like a blanket. They were embarking on this journey side by side, united by faith, ready to embrace every twist and turn. The pastor's voice pierced through the atmosphere, resonating deep within Sarah's core. "The world may try to define you by your past, but God knows your potential. He is transforming your burdens into blessings, your trials into triumphs." Energy surged through the room, igniting a collective heartbeat among the gathered. Sarah could feel its pulse echoing in her chest, mingling with her hopes and dreams. As prayer enveloped the congregation, a soft touch landed upon Sarah's shoulder. Turning, she found Ms. Jane smiling back at her with the same tenderness as before. "You're about to inspire many, Sarah. Your journey is powerful, and God will use it as a light to lead others." In that moment, something inside Sarah shifted. The weight of doubt and anxiety began to fade like shadows before the dawn. Could it be? She thought. Could my journey truly reflect the love of God, shining brightly for others struggling in the dark? Just as she contemplated this, a wave of testimonies began. Hearts poured out story after story of miracle and redemption. Each was a thread weaving a tapestry of hope, binding the assembly together in shared purpose. She absorbed the raw authenticity radiating from each testimony, and with every word, her own fears melted away, replaced by an overwhelming swell of faith. Then came a closing prayer, resonating like thunder through the chapel. As the pastor amplified, "Let us embrace transformation, declare our faith, and step boldly into God's light." Sarah felt something break a barrier deep within her, shattering like glass. It was time. Time for her to take hold of her destiny, time for her family to flourish. With her heart alight, she reached for Lily's small hand, feeling the thread of connection tighten, a lifeline of faith wrapped comfortably around them. Together, they stepped forward for a blessing, feeling the warmth radiate like sunlight on their backs. As the pastor laid hands on them, Sarah felt an electric surge. It coursed through her limbs and ignited her spirit anew. At that moment, tears streamed down her face, not of sorrow, but of fierce joy and gratitude. She could hear God whispering gently, rekindling her sense of purpose. "You are loved. You are chosen. You are free." She opened her eyes once the prayer finished, engaging with the community, their smiles and nods echoing the recognition of shared struggles and victories. In that moment, she resolved, she would be a voice of love and transformation, telling her story far and wide. By God's grace, she would inspire others to step into their own light. As the service concluded and the assembly of believers began to disperse, the air shimmered with possibility. Conversations flowed like rivers, laughter bubbling like a melody. Sarah's heart soared as she soaked it all in. In that sacred space filled with prayer and possibility, Sarah felt renewed. She grasped the importance of communal support, of sharing hope and love in every encounter. The shadows were gone. Each miracle revealed a pathway forward, vibrant and full of promise. As they stepped out of the church, the night sky sparkled like diamonds, whispering of God's glory in the world beyond. "Can you see the stars, Mommy?" Lily exclaimed, her face turned upwards, untainted childlike wonder dancing in her eyes. "Yes, my darling," Sarah replied, her heart swelling with love, "and just like those stars, we'll shine bright together." Each step away from the church marked an embrace of her new identity. She would guide her children and others in her village, serving as a testament to the grace that transformed her. This was not the end, it was just the beginning. She could already sense the next chapter unfolding, an adventure in faith that would touch lives, heal hearts, and spread ripples of God's immense love. The journey from darkness into light had borne fruit, and Sarah resolved to share the fruits of her transformation. It was time to soar. Now, beautiful family in faith, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you do not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread the word. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this miraculous ending. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this divine manifestation. This is the moment to show your support, don't wait even one more second. Only true servants of God understand the significance of these actions.